Hey folks, this is Matt J. Rainwater, colors for the Dark Horse Comics, Plants vs. Zombies comics. And I wanted to talk to y'all today about uh, not so much the process of coloring comics, but rather more about the job of coloring comics. So, working as a comic book colorist. And I have a lot of thoughts about this, obviously, having worked on the Plants vs. Zombies comics for a couple years now and having a lot of experiences, mostly positive, but some negative. And I wanted to talk about uh, keeping ahead of deadlines, meeting deadlines, and also, in areas where I failed in that too. So, my main thing that I want to talk about today is so in this book that I'm coloring, yesterday I really had a whole butt, and I had to like I really had to meet I really had to meet a certain checkpoint for myself so that I could get to the point where I can say, all right, I'm gonna have 12 pages done in 2 weeks, and that is my goal. I don't know if I'm going to entirely be able to achieve it, but that's what I'm going to shoot for. And I say this because I'm a little bit behind on where I should be in this book and where I want to be on this book. And it started a little bit late, and I am going to figure out the best that I can how I'm going to meet that goal. So what happened was that yesterday I was still flattening the book, right? Or I was still flattening these 12 pages that I need to get done. And I decided, like, okay, if I'm going to get all these pages fully colored in 2 weeks, I need to have everything flatted by tomorrow, so that I have 7 or so days to get everything rendered. And so what happened is I talked with my partners. I talked with my partners. I talked to them. I was saying, okay, this weekend I need some time to work, and I need. I'm gonna have to ask y'all to do a little more work taking care of the kid. And they had a lot of stuff going on too, which is why I felt like I needed to talk to them about this, communicate what I needed for my time management, and they took over with taking care of our child, and I pressed through, and I and so yeah, I got it's a lot of pages to flat, especially for Plants vs Zombies. 8 pages is a lot to do, but because I have the process that I have, where I do all the characters first, and I save doing all the backgrounds and stuff for all, like, I do all the characters for all of the pages that I'm going to color, and then I do the everything else. Because I did it like that, it saved all the parts where I needed to make decisions on what I was going to flat. It saved it all for that step. So it's so much easier to go through and flat all the stuff where it's like, oh, I don't have to make any decisions about this. Those decisions have already been made. I just need to actually put in, the work of actually flatting those characters, so that later on I don't have to go back and refer to a palette or whatever to flat everything else. So I got that done. I flatted all. I flatted. All, I got everything flatted. Um, and here I am today. I'm working on the rendering phase, and I'm going to go through and do all the blush for all the characters in these 12 pages, and then next I'm going to do the color holds, etc., etc. I'm going to try and do all the blush today, and I don't know if I'm going to get to doing blush in color holds today. I'm not sure yet. I'm um, I'm still kind of. It's been a really busy day. It's been a really hot day, and I am losing my energy as the evening wears on. But nevertheless, I will push as hard as I can and get as much stuff done as I can. But I say all this to you because the thing that I want y'all to be able to take away from my tutorials and from what I'm sharing with y'all is that if you have something that you want to create, Not even if you're just working professionally as a artist, but if you're also just working on your own stuff as an artist and you want to get it done and you don't want to just be in the position of like having ideas and then putting those ideas in paper and getting so close and so far to actually finishing it and then it kind of trails off. The best way to get that done and to get your projects made is that you need to have a plan for yourself when you start out. You need to break down your creative process as into whatever steps are necessary for you to get it done. So for coloring Plants vs Zombies, what I showed y'all in the tutorials, that is what I do. That is how I meet deadlines. That is, the fastest way so far that I figured out how to color this comic book. Now, for other projects, like, for instance, a project that I haven't released yet, but I'm slowly working on, it's called Bat Monster, and my process is I have a template, and I set up my panels, and I start drawing. And that comic is a totally different kind of project because I'm working from a very automatic drawing sort of perspective. It's a very different kind of project. It's more organic and doesn't. I don't have to stick to any particular sort of rubric to make it. But then for something like Trailer Park Wurrrk, I have it broken down in steps where I'll write a script, I'll draw the thumbnails, I'll blow up all the thumbnails onto my template for each page of the comic. I'll rule out all the panels for each page of the comic. I'll rough in all the panels for each page of the comic. I'll tighten the pencils for each page of the comic. I'll ink the pencils for each page of the comic. I'll flat all the pages of the comic. And I'll do all the rendering in the same kind of steps that I do for Plants vs. Zombies. So like with Trailer Park Wurrrk, that's my process for that. For every comic or every art project that I do, I have a different kind of process, and I make sure that I break it down into steps. Because if I'm able to break it down into steps, it becomes more achievable for myself. Because I have a roadmap for myself, and I can say, okay, I've reached this checkpoint. My next checkpoint is this. And so long as you have those checkpoints, so long as you have that roadmap, you don't get caught up and you don't get overwhelmed. You don't get lost in the process. And that's the most important part in my mind when it comes to making art, or really any kind of project, whether you're building a house, whether you're, trying to apply for a loan or whatever, and all those sorts of things are already oftentimes broken down into steps. And the reason why people do that is because when you have it broken down into steps, you don't get caught into the fog of, oh, what do I do next, right? Like, and that's the most important part, is that you don't get stuck into that place of not knowing what to do next. Sometimes don't get me wrong, I have art projects where that is the sole purpose of the art project, is to go, I don't know what to do next. And that's important. That is important in its own way, and I'm probably going to try and go into that too, because I have a project that I'm working on where that is kind of the point of the project, is for me to sort of surprise myself and to do things I wouldn't normally do. And but nevertheless, when you're working professionally, when you have to meet deadlines, most comic book colorists are working multiple comics at the same time. And I have worked on multiple comics at the same time. There was a period of time where I was coloring both the monthly Plants vs. Zombies comic, back when it was still monthly, and also doing a monthly spin-off comic for the Garden Warfare games. And that was a really rough spot for me. I had to work 16 hours a day. I was really pushed to the limit during that period of time. And that's why colorists often do hire flatters when they can afford them, is because Flatters allow colors to do more work because they're doing this particular step in the process. That is a very demanding step. And if you ever find yourself in that position and you can afford to hire flatters and you can pay them a good rate, I recommend doing it. I can't do it right now. I can't afford flatters, but if I ever find myself in that position again, I will do it. And there are people who I know that I can rely on, and I would ask for help in that kind of situation. And also, another word of advice is talk to your editors. Your editors, they're there not just to make sure that the quality of your work is standing out, but they're also there to help you mitigate your own time management risks and to mitigate whatever problems may come up in the creative process. So if you find yourself looking at your schedule and going, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this, I don't know if I can meet this, talk to your editor. Be really blunt with them about it and say, look, I'm having some issues with this. What are things that we can do? Do you have any ideas? Here are ideas that I have, et cetera, et cetera. What can we do to make this more possible for me to complete, this process, complete this project? And, for myself, like I have had a lot of I've had a very responsive editor who has worked with me and listened to what I've had to say and what I need. And I feel really fortunate in that way. My editor has been really helpful to me in terms of getting this done and on getting it done on time, but also, helping me when I do need leeway. And there have been times where I've blown deadlines. I have, like, there have been times where I have not been able to make a deadline. And my editors really helped me out during those periods of time. And so have people who have flatted for me. They've really helped me a lot. So, just to reiterate before I go, like I said, most important thing beyond just, the idea that you have for a piece of art is how you're going to make it, how you're going to create it. The more that you break down your steps, the more that you create the roadmap for yourself for creating a work, the more likely it's going to become a reality. And that's the most important part, right? It's not just the idea in your head, but it's making that idea a reality. So that's really what I want to leave y'all with today. And I hope that y'all are having a good day. The heat is sweltering in the Pacific Northwest, and it's only going to get hotter this week. So I am currently huddled in my basement trying to get away from the heat and just plugging away at this book right now. Anyway, thank you all again for listening, and I will talk to y'all later, okay?